Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. Need an orthopedist? You go to Brock. Need a roof? You call Parish. We're also brought to you by Unique Physique, semaglutide, tirzepatide, once a week injections for weight loss. Baton Rouge based. You can do the whole thing over telemed, and they will ship anywhere in the country. So even if you're outside of Baton Rouge or Louisiana, still check out Unique Physique. And thank you to the listener who requested yesterday. My apologies for it. Links to all of our sponsors are in the description on YouTube. Okay. We'll say some good mornings here. LSU opens up week 2 of fall camp. Today we do have full media availability. I'll run through the practice schedule for you just so y'all kind of get a heads up as to what's coming this week. So so today, Monday, practice starts at 9:45, and media has full availability. Players meet with reporters after practice around 11:50. So you can expect practice tweets, reports, stuff like that coming out sometime a little before noon when the media starts meeting with the players. Tuesday, practice is at 9:45, but media availability doesn't begin until 10:45. And then we're slated to meet with Brian Kelly about 11:50. So we should get about an hour worth of viewing on Tuesday and then meet with Brian Kelly. Wednesday, first day of full pads. And we get to see the full practice. So 9:45 will be there, and they'll meet Joe Sloan on Wednesday at 11:50. Thursday's an off day, and Friday there's no media access. So that's the schedule for week 2 here for LSU. I'm excited about Wednesday to see him get into full pads, see how that looks. I Locked On is live if you want to check it out. I went through my for today's episode, kind of like the position battles that I'm keeping an eye on here in week 2. I think the backup quarterback is going to be interesting after kind of going back and looking at my notes for how both those guys played. Collins had some really big plays, but also had, the interception and a dropped interception. Swan was 8 of 9 passing in the 7-on-7s we looked at. Didn't really make a mistake, didn't really make a big wow play, was just consistent. So it'll be interesting to continue to see those two battle for the backup spot. Defensive tackle rotation once they get into pads, I think will be interesting. And wide receiver. I mean, we've made these assumptions that Lacey, Hilton, Daniels are your top 3, and they may well end up being that way. But I think it's interesting. It's going to be interesting because you had so many other guys make really impressive plays. Shelton Samson had 2 really impressive catches. People are impressed by Jelani Watkins. Kylan Billiot had the big touchdown. So anyway, how does that receiver group, who finds consistency among the receiver group, I think will be interesting. So, all right, let's say some good mornings here, y'all. Smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post, all that stuff. Ricky Lambert, good morning. Abner Neal, good morning. Hey, Melody, good morning. Tiger Diver, Gorilla, Kelly Gross, good morning, y'all. Hope everybody's doing awesome today. Jeff, what up, my dude? Hope you're doing great, man. Trivia, what up? Brian Wynn, what up? James McKinney, what up? Jeff Vaccaro, morning, Matt. Jude, Ron Burgundy, and I had a good laugh about the Sell Me on Jimbo story recently. Go Tigers. Jude, Ron Burgundy, and I had a good laugh about the Sell Me on Jimbo story recently. You're going to have to give me a little more deets, man. I don't remember that. Sorry, my apologies. Ron Richie, what's going on, man? Gorilla, your last video with the Vic ad got people fired up and crying about how you sold out by putting an ad in the middle of the show. Guess they never heard of fast forward. LOL. Have a great week. Your last video with the Vic ad got people crying up. Are you talking about on AFR LSU? I don't know what the Vic ad is, but yeah. So BetUS bought AFR LSU and AFR Saints, so they wanted to put ads on the YouTube channel. Yes, we're trying to make money. Oh my God. Lucas Blanchard, morning, Matt. Based off everything I'm seeing, looks like the secondary has improved. Not going to get it too excited until we see it in pads, but it's looking a lot better. Yeah, man. So I guess, Lucas, it's also worth mentioning, like, we got 1 day of the day one of practice, right? Where we got to see team. And then the second day was 15 minutes and we got to just see mostly special teams. So today, we'll have a much better sense. We didn't get to watch Saturday's practice. There was no availability Saturday and they were off Sunday. So let's see how they look today. But yeah, I mean, I told you my biggest takeaway from day one was that the defense punched back. I mean, the defense had wins, which was good to see. Michael Thacker, morning, Scone. Fair to say USC week 1 is Brian Kelly's biggest, most important game as LSU head coach today based on last year and offseason changes. I don't know, man. I mean, he played in an SEC championship game. I mean, what do we like? You know, I think of it this way: like, it's all based on what happens after. Okay, so you win the USC game, but you lose 3 SEC games, and it doesn't matter as much. You lose the USC game, but you end up going 10-2. You only lose one the rest of the way. You're 7-1 in conference. Well, does it really matter? You know, I tend to not react like that, man. Michael, I understand the question. I understand your point. I guess I don't process it that way, man. Like, is it the biggest game? If you want to go into it that way, fine. I could see it both ways, man. I would still say that playing for an SEC championship was bigger. You know, losing to Texas A&M year one, you lost the SEC championship game, but had you won that game against A&M, you would have gone to Atlanta with a real shot at being the first 2-loss team in the playoff. You would have beaten Bama and Georgia and won the SEC. Now, you didn't win that game, of course, but I don't know, man. There's always big games. I guess I just don't think of it in those terms. It's a big game, though, yeah. Rocky, good morning. Hey, Dad, good morning. Hunter Eilers, good morning from Florida, facing the hurricane. All right, man, y'all be safe, man. Like Texas, Florida, just kind of keep dodging them right in the middle here in Louisiana. But Hunter, hope you're safe, man. Hope everybody does just fine coming through it, man. Hey, Brad, good morning. How does your podcast work? Do you pick one topic a day about LSU? No, not necessarily. So Locked on LSU is 3 segments. And by the way, that's formatted. That's like a network format. So Locked On sends us the format so there's consistency across the entire network. They want the same structure, length, all that sort of stuff. So I try to pick 3 topics for the 3 segments. But sometimes, like today, I mean, the whole show was previewing week 2 of fall camp. I mean, sometimes I can do a 25-minute podcast on one thing by just breaking it down. So I broke down the position battles that I'm watching in week 2, personnel questions that I have, in week 2, sort of like that. So I broke it down that way. Let's see. Melody, do you think Hurley's in the mix at all for backup quarterback? Melody, I do not. He was pretty exclusively in what we saw running as the 4th quarterback. And I mean, again, it was 1 day, but we also saw him throw 2 picks. Hurley's a guy that has good size and great confidence about him, and I think he's going to be a really good player. I do often wonder about guys that reclassify, especially at that position. I mean, he should be entering his senior year of high school. Imagine what Colin Hurley would be like a year from now, physically mature, all that sort of stuff. But I understand you also got Bryce Underwood next year's class. So, but anyway, no, just the short answer to your question, Melodies, is small sample size, but I do not. I think you had Ricky Collins and you brought in AJ Swan to have someone who's a little more veteran who actually has some experience. So I really think those two guys are the guys that are vying for the backup job. Hey, Dale, good morning. Greetings from Lafayette. All right, Dale, welcome back. Dale been in Hawaii. Welcome back, Dale. Reed Rule, morning. Coming home from the night shift. Glad to tune in. What are we rolling with so far at kick returner, punt returner? Yeah, so there's 4 guys that are working out returning. Xavier Thomas is obviously one of them. Aaron Anderson, Jelani Watkins, and Kyle Parker. Those are the 4, if I'm remembering correctly, that we've seen back there. Hey, Wendell, good morning. Ryan, morning, Matt. Do you think Philip Wright decommitting from Michigan had anything to do with the news they've been in recently or wants to stay home? Yeah, good question, Ryan. That's actually in the description for today as well. So I wanted to mention that. So Philip Wright, for those that aren't familiar, is a receiver from Destrehan who had just recently, just in July, committed to Michigan. And LSU extended his offer right before he committed. But there was a feeling that once LSU extended the offer that he was ultimately going to land at LSU. So primary recruiter for Wright is Cortez Hankton, the receivers coach. The secondary is Frank Wilson, of course, who we all know is, I keep saying New Orleans high school royalty, but I think we all understand. That's Coach Frank. He's part of that fraternity. Philip Wright's 5'11", 170. Depending on which service you look at, he's either a 3-star or a 4-star. But he's one of the fastest prospects at receiver in the country. And despite the 3-star, 4-star, whatever, he's got offers from everybody: LSU, Michigan, Georgia, Mississippi State, Auburn, Texas A&M, Miami, Missouri, Penn State, South Carolina, Arkansas, Nebraska, Texas Tech. He's got offers from everybody. So the thought was, as soon as LSU offered, that he was going to end up in the LSU class. So even though he committed to Michigan because he had that commitment date set, it felt like it was only a matter of time. So this could be a really big week for LSU. So CJ Jim Coyley, the safety out of Tennessee, is set to make his announcement this week. It's down to LSU and Stanford. It's thought to be LSU. And Philip Wright, I think we all anticipate, is going to flip from Michigan to LSU. So that 2025 class likely to grow this week as well. All right, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. Hey, Reed, coming home from the night shift. Glad to tune in. Sorry, I read that one. Irfan Sayad Gamogan. Brad David, looking at blue chip ratio, it's amazing how few teams can realistically win a championship. Yeah, based on that metric, and it's held true. For those who don't know, blue chip ratio is effectively says that 50% of your roster or more has to be made up of 4 and 5 stars. And there's only 16 teams in the country that qualify for that this year. And dating back to the ranking era, every team that has won the national championship has fallen within that criteria. So that's what he's alluding to there. LSU is in that number. It's always interesting to see what schools might be able to upset the apple cart there. Ole Miss this year does not qualify under blue chip ratio, but a lot of people, like Ole Miss. I think it's also really interesting moving to a 12-team playoff. It's just you're adding more games, and it's going to be harder, right, to win because you're going to have to play more games. So there's more of a chance of an upset. Bailey C., do you think the Saints wouldn't be as stubborn with the win now if they hadn't gotten a second bowl with Breeze? I think that's if they had got. Yeah, I completely think so. That's the point. They were all in. They were all in to win with Drew Brees, and and they got close. They got Nola no called. Had that flag come out and the Saints beating the Rams in 18, They go to the Super Bowl. They wax New England. Brady doesn't have 7, by the way. Breeze has 2. And yeah, I think maybe they make another run at it in 2019. But I think Breeze retires then. And the Saints start their reset. I don't remember exactly what the cap would have looked like with Breeze's number. But yeah, I do. I do think, of course, it would look different. But they just kept chasing it, man, and they're still chasing it, and they're getting it further and further away from it. Club Ruckus, good morning. Big Chrisdom, USC's 20 years in the making. Darn right, man. Brent St. Germain, good morning. Caleb Clark, come on, man. Larry Garner, good morning. Cajun Country, hate to say it, feel like I'm getting ready for a mediocre football season. Saints 7-9 at best. Hope the Tigers can go 10-2. My Cajuns, well glorified high school. I don't know what the Cajuns are looking like this year. Sean, I don't. I'm not sure what the expectation is there. But I do wish all the teams in the state well. Like, I want all the teams to do well. Of course, y'all know I agree with you on the Saints. The over under 7.5. I'd hammer the under. Interesting, Bet US, who we just talked about, who is sponsoring AFR Saints and AFR LSU on YouTube. Their number for LSU is 9 over under. So a little more juice to the over, but a little less risk as well. So if they land on 9, you push. So it's worth shopping around, see what number you can get. Leon, morning, Matt. What's your opinion on Saints camp so far? I heard Carr is on fire. Thoughts? How about backup quarterback battle? So, backup quarterback, I'm really not interested until I see him play preseason games. And I understand preseason games aren't the be-all, end-all metric, especially because you're playing against a lot of other backups. But if you don't do well in preseason games, that's sort of an indicator that when things are like turned on for real on Sundays, probably not a great option. So I look at the backup quarterbacks then. As far as Carr, I mean, look, man, when you're a decade into your NFL career, if you're trying to hype me up that he's having a great training camp, I'm just not interested. I don't care what Derek Carr is doing in training camp. I want to see what Derek Carr does on Sundays in the fall. And for a decade, he's given us a sample size to know what he is, man. I don't know what any of us think you'd see in a training camp that's going to change what a decade worth of football games tells you about Derek Carr. So he's a nice player. He's a mid to bottom tier, lower mid, upper bottom tier quarterback. He's a 20s quarterback, starting quarterback in the NFL. You're never going to win anything of significance with him. And it's on him to prove me and every other doubter wrong. Because I've got 10 years worth of evidence of Derek Carr to say what he is, man. He had one real outlier year with the Raiders, and he got hurt, didn't even get to play in the playoffs that year, which sucks for him. And he's, by all accounts, a great guy and a good man and husband and father and teammate and all that stuff. And that's great. I mean, those are great characteristics to have. But he's played in 159 career games, man. In 159 career games, if you don't know, he started them all. If you don't know what he is by now, and if you're trying to ask me what are we learning about Derek Carr in training camp, nothing. Not learning anything about Derek Carr in training camp. I know what I need to know about Derek Carr from the 159 games he's played. Elijah, morning, Matt. Curious how you do your notes for games, camps, what type of shorthand, etc. It always seems like they're pretty detailed. Yeah, man, look, I've done this long enough, Elijah, to where I know how to chart my shorthand so I can watch what I'm watching and make my notations and be able to chart reps and plays. Yeah, I mean, I think I've showed y'all before how I do games. So I do practice similarly when they're in 7-on-7s. The difference, I guess, with 7-on-7 the other day is it wasn't like the offense wasn't moving the football. Every play started at the same line of scrimmage. So it wasn't like gain of 8, well, now it's 2nd and 2. You know what I mean? It was just like rep 1, run the play, rep 2, run the play. So, I mean, I just charted all the plays in 7-on-7. So I know my shorthand to know how it went. So, all right. Bubba Smith, good morning. Bubba Tatum, morning from waterlogged Tampa. No damage last night other than the frogs keeping me awake. Sound like Scone's backyard. At least most things closed today, so we get a day off. All right, Bubba. Hope y'all are doing okay, man. Hope everybody makes it through the storm just fine, man. Gary, good morning. I just listened to AFR with Brandon Taylor. Awesome. What do you think the guys would take from that if they listen to it? So for those that didn't see, Brandon Taylor was on AFR, and he's pretty impassioned about what it would take to get DBU back, and he mostly talked about accountability. It's on guys to be in their playbook and to earn the right to be called DBU and stuff like that. I highly recommend you go listen to it if you missed it. I remember back in the 2020 season when the defense was terrible then. They had some of those veteran guys come talk to the players about that standard, and it didn't really take. So I don't know. I think the most important part is recruiting guys that are self-starters, guys that have great ambition and are going to work hard and strive to be exactly what we're talking about. So I'm not saying you can't coach someone up, but what's someone's motivation? Is your motivation to go to the league, and are you willing to work hard to get there? Hopefully you got a bunch of those guys. Trey Fisher, what up, Fish? Hope all's going great, man. Adrian Carter, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Marcus Washington, good morning. Cliff, what up? Let's see, do you see Sloan using more 12 personnel if Trey Green can block effectively? See, the thing you're forgetting there, Cliff, is Mac Markway. And quite honestly, when we're watching the team periods, when Mason Taylor is in or they go 2 tight end with the ones anyway, Mac Markway is the one that goes in. I think we are probably underselling Markway's value because he's the guy that's probably next in line to Mason Taylor in the sense of being a 3-down tight end, right? Like a traditional tight end who can block and who can also athletically run routes and catch the ball. It was interesting. There was I was reading an ESPN article by one of the draft guys, and was looking at the top players at each position for next year's draft, and had Mason Taylor as the top tight end in the draft for this coming draft, meaning Taylor would end up leaving after his junior year, which is interesting. I mean, you sign him as a 3-star, look like a guy to grow into his body, but he has now and really looks the part. Anyway, all that to say, I think, listen, Trey had a great first day. I'm very interested to see him again today, to see how he looks, and then see how it looks in full pads. And if he develops a consistency, then you got to find a role for him. That's just going to be my point. I don't know that there's enough reps to get him 50 targets in the season when you talk about Lacey and Hilton and Daniels and Xavier Thomas and Shelton Samson and Mason Taylor and the backs. I mean, there's not enough plays, right? But when you see 12 personnel, and so for those that don't know, he's talking about 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Hence 12, 1, 2. Mason Taylor might be your flex tight end, and Mac Markway might be a fixed tight end in the 3-point stance. So long answer, short way of saying it, if they use 2 tight ends, they're probably putting Mac Markway in with Mason Taylor. But I think they have to find a role for Trey if he continues with the consistency that we saw first day. But again, first day. So we'll see. Rocky, I'm so much more excited about college football season this year than the NFL. I usually don't feel this way. Maybe it's the realignment driving that. Your thoughts? Maybe it's expectation around your team. I mean, if the Saints were, I don't know if you're a Saints fan, Rocky, but like if the Saints were, projected to be a 12-win team and win the division, a Super Bowl contender, we'd be more excited about it, But it sucks when you go into a season feeling like there's an inevitability. Hang on one second, y'all. My apologies. I do need to go start Drew's backpack right now. So hang on. I'll play the Parish jingle for you, but I'll be right back.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish Built. Parish Built. Parish Built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com. Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish Built. Parish Built. Parish Built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com. Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish Built. Parish Built. Parish Built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
All right, turn off the loop. There we go. Thank you. I don't know how many times it played. How many times did it play? Did it play twice? Did it play twice? It had played twice, right? Or did it play 3 times? Anyway. Parish Construction and Roofing, ParishBuilt.com. Okay. Sorry, I got to find my spot. Please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. By the way, thanks to whoever mentioned it yesterday. The links for all of our sponsors are in the show description on YouTube. And I'll make sure that I tag everybody, all the show sponsors on Facebook as well. But if you're on YouTube, the links to Brock, Parish, Unique Physique, Restored Motions are all in the description on YouTube. I should have been doing that forever. So my apologies. Where are we? All right, Robert, morning, Matt. YouTube question. I do premium because I hate ads. Does that affect your business or not regarding the ads that play before the video starts? Yeah, so if you do premium, then the content creators, the channel owners, get a cut of the premium revenue, just like we'd get paid on the ads that run. So it's all the same, no difference. Like you can go into YouTube Studio and you could see the revenue from premium, the revenue from ads, or all that sort of stuff. Jeremy Brinkmeyer, good morning. Brett Guidry, it's going to be exciting if we get all those Louisiana guys in this class. And next, like you said, Louisiana guys got that dog in them. Yeah, man, like that's a big part of it. If there are members of this coaching staff that identify guys like Bernard Causey, I know PJ Woodland's from Mississippi, but again, that was a 3-star guy. They looked at him like, I like him. Okay, cool. I'm with it. If they look at Jace Thomas from Destrehan and go, yep, he looks like one of our guys, I'm in. Philip Wright from Destrehan, receiver. I mean, LSU's done okay with dudes from Destrehan. Okay, let's go. So yes, I'm usually going to be more inclined to say I trust your judgment when you're talking about recruiting a 3-star from Louisiana as opposed to a 3-star from Las Vegas. Mark Allen, let's see, Matt. I'm taking the missus to New Orleans this weekend. Is Hotel Montleone a nice hotel? Yeah, man. Montleone's great. Yes. A great historic hotel right there on Bourbon. So you're right in the middle of everything. They recently renovated one of the towers. to sort of update and modernize it. I would, if you like that, I'd probably recommend you asking about staying him there. The one thing, and Mark, this isn't you, it's me, because I'm completely incapable of not. Mrs., your wife, would be MISSUS, the Mrs. MISSES would be like swings and misses. Anyway, again, Mark, not you, it's me. I should just let that go. We all know what you meant. But I have a problem. I have a problem. It is me. Hang on one second. Erica's calling, and this is about Drew. Hey. Nope. I just paused to answer. Okay. 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 Okay, bye. All right. Let's see. But yes, to answer your question, Mark, Montleon's great. Carousel Bar in Montleon is a great spot. It's an historic bar. It's called a Carousel Bar because it kind of looks like a carousel. It might have actually been a carousel. And it rotates. So you sit at the bar, the Carousel Bar rotates like a carousel. Anyway, yes. So Mark, I would highly recommend. Montleon's great. We stayed there last year when we went for Erica and Danane's birthday weekend. Hunter Broadhead, good morning. Father JD Mathera, morning Scone. SC Championship is just the top two teams in the conference this year, right? No divisions. Correct. Done away with divisions, which is why, one of the same thing with the Big Ten too, by the way. So it's why one of the, I think one of the maybe unintended consequences of the no divisions is there are teams that will never ever win the conference championship again. Like South Carolina went to Atlanta. They will, like twice. They'll never go back. Or once. They'll never go back. Missouri went twice. They'll never go back. Arkansas has been to the SC championship game twice. They'll never go back. Ole Miss has never been. They'll never go. Mississippi State's been once. They'll never go back. It's just it used to be that if you could win your division and in an off year like 2001, I mean, LSU was 5-3 and won the West and went to Atlanta, won and beat Tennessee, won the SEC. So those opportunities will never exist again. In the Big Ten, Northwestern, Iowa, Wisconsin, like those schools Purdue will never go to the Big Ten championship game again, ever, because they've done away with division. So it's just the top two teams in the conference. So they're never going to be the top two teams in the entire conference. So that's one probably unintended consequence of doing away with divisions, but I'm for it. Now you're going to see what that means. You're going to see rematches like this year. Potentially, you could see Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Georgia twice, or maybe even three times. If you see in the regular season, SC championship game, playoff, like there's a chance you could see games like that, like in the NFL where teams could play three times. You play your division teams twice and you can play them in the playoffs. Let's see. Melody as Destra hand grad. I love it. Cliff, smash the like button. Thank you, brah. Trivia. Razor. Oh, it played 4 times. Oh, sorry. So you heard, I was gone for 2 minutes. My bad. Calvin, I would recommend Nopsy. Get a suite. Thank me later. Stayed at Nopsy several times. The one time when I was there I was doing my show in New Orleans, and my guy Q, who was managing the Nopsy at the time, hooked me up with, I don't know if it was like their presidential suite or whichever one it was. It had it looked like a beach condo. It was massive. Big wraparound balcony. It was awesome. Mike, morning Scone, is Burrow one season-ending injury away from being the next Andrew Luck? Well, first of all, Andrew Luck never got to a Super Bowl. Burrow did that in his second year. I don't know that we're there yet. And I think Luck could have kept playing. I think he was just thinking quality of life long term, right? And how his body was responding. I don't think Burrow's there. I think Burrow is just so intently focused on football, and that's what he's thinking about life right now. So I don't know that I would go there. Jacob, how's Shelton Samson doing in fall camp? Again, first day we saw Samson had 2 amazing catches, consecutive plays in 7-on-7. Actually, forgive me, that was in the 11-on-11 period. Down the right, they were doing a 2-minute offense, going tempo, and he made back-to-back catches, contested down the right sideline, 50-50 balls. The second one, when he came down, he hit his head. BK said he came up a little woozy, and so they just held him out for the rest of practice. But that's a guy that if he keeps making plays like that, then he's going to be getting more opportunities on Saturdays. Jacob, what's going on, man? Good morning. Brian Wynn, your thoughts on why the SEC gave such an easy conference schedule compared to the schedule Oklahoma got? So you're talking about Texas. Yeah, I don't I know what you want me to say is it's because they're favoring Texas, which I think is fundamentally absurd. You're not going to favor the new guy. I think all of that will come and go cyclically. Like Missouri and Tennessee and Ole Miss have the easiest schedules in the league this year. Are they favoring those teams, or is it just cyclical with how the league looks? Like, I mean, they are making them go to Texas A&M. Say what you want about A&M, but that game's in College Station. They do get Georgia, which is not an easy draw. I think the thing that's appealing for Texas is their road conference schedule. They're at Vandy, at Arkansas, at A&M, which is tough. But again, they play Oklahoma in a neutral site. As the road team. So their home games in conference are Mississippi State, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky. So yeah, it's super manageable. But what about years where Kentucky was a 10-win team, or Arkansas hadn't been good in a while, but what if you get a year where Mississippi State was a 10-win team? I mean, not to say that that's going to happen commonly, but it's cyclical, right? And so we'll see schedules flip. Next year, everybody's going to play the same teams, just reverse the home and away. But then when the new cycle comes, we'll see how it looks. Yeah, there's no doubt. Oklahoma got a tougher draw initially than Texas did. I don't read anything into it. I think a big part of what the league was trying to do was, okay, let's fill out what we know. For example, all right, well, Texas and Oklahoma are going to keep playing that second Saturday, right? So October the 12th, right? You want to put Texas and Texas A&M together. You're going to make Texas travel their first year in the league. Okay, well, that's going to be the Thanksgiving weekend, the last date. So you put those things in place, then you try to build around it with everything else. Well, what about other rivalries or who's playing on what weekends? I think you do the best you can. And some years it just works out. Like, I'm going to look at LSU's schedule this year, and in a given year, typically, if you told me LSU had to go to Florida, to A&M, to Arkansas, like, it would look more daunting than it does this year, because Arkansas and A&M maybe aren't great. Florida's might have fired their coach by that point. What's Oklahoma going to be at the end of the year? It just kind of depends. It's just cyclical. I understand the question, and I know why people ask it. I don't look at it thinking the league office just gave Texas a break because they're Texas. Like, why does Georgia have one of the toughest schedules in the league? And why does Missouri have one of the easiest? That's the way it went. Mizzou will probably never go back. Probably. Brett Gidry, what are the tiebreakers for the SEC? Yeah, man. So, when I interviewed Greg Sankey at Media Days, I asked him that because he kind of mentioned in his sort of State of the Conference address that they didn't have him yet. And then I asked him about him on one-on-one, and what I took from him was they have it, They just haven't refined it or haven't announced it, which kind of tells me like they don't have it determined yet. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be. They haven't announced them yet. So, I mean, you'd love to have head-to-head, but do you end up getting down to something where it's like margin of victory? Then are you encouraging blowouts? I don't know. But yeah, Brett, they have not announced tiebreakers yet. Mike, thanks. Bought tickets to our first LSU away game in Gainesville. Hoping we roll as UF has the toughest 7-game stretch I've ever seen. You know what, man? Like, I got no love lost for Florida, of course, but it is one of those things where, you know, sometimes it might be cliche. People say, well, they're better than their record. That may actually be the case for Florida. Like, if Florida had Missouri's schedule this year or Ole Miss's schedule, they might be an 8-win team, you know. But look at it now. They open with Miami at home, which they could very well lose. Then they play Samford. Then they're home against A&M, at Mississippi State, home against UCF. Then they go at Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, at Florida State. I mean, look at their road games. I mean, it's almost... Get off my screen. Stupid. Anyway, yes, I think Florida, the spot that LSU plays Florida is a little sticky, I think. Because like it is the week after you play Bama. So you're going Bama at Florida. Now, look, I understand also last year LSU played at Bama, lost, saw Jaden Daniels get concussed, and then he came back and set a record for like the greatest game ever against Florida, which basically won him the Heisman. But Florida, before they play LSU, goes Georgia at Texas, LSU. So while I would typically look at LSU going to Florida after Bama and go, LSU's going open date, Bama at Florida. Florida's going Georgia at Texas, LSU. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay. Last one, Brett. What were the tiebreakers before they had the SEC title game? Well, shoot, man, you only had 10 teams. And so you'd share a title, and if you had a head-to-head, it just didn't matter as much, remember? Because you weren't vying for playoff spots. I'd love to know. Maybe I'll look back at that and see. But if you had, an 8-game schedule in a 10-team league, you basically played everybody. But I think there were years they had a 6-game schedule. I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, okay, y'all. That's going to do it for us. Y'all do us a favor. Please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, like the page, share the post, all that good stuff. Shout out to Brock. Remember, you need an orthopedist, go to Brock. If you need a roof, give us a shout. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. All the links for our sponsors are in the description on YouTube. Unique Physique. Remember, semaglutide, tirzepatide, once-a-week injections for weight loss. You can do the whole thing over telemed, and they will ship your medicine outside of Louisiana. So if you're watching outside of Baton Rouge or outside of Louisiana, they can ship to you anywhere. So check out Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. Remember, first month, 50% off your first month right now at Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com. And of course, Crystal Poche over at Restored Motions and restoredmotions.com. If you're in pain, book a session with Crystal. You'll be glad you did. All right, we'll see y'all. Have an awesome day. Locked on LSU is live.